Halliburton looking. Halliburton driving, pulls off, jump shot. It's good! It's good! With 0.3 of a second remaining. Timeout, OKC. Tyrese Halliburton does it again. Their first lead of the game.
Halliburton's theatrics still reverberating around Oklahoma City and the entire basketball universe. Paycom Center, the site of basketball epicenter. And today we are live on NBA TV. This is NBA Finals media availability presented by YouTube TV with the NBA champion Brendan Haywood. I'm Jared Greenberg. For the next several hours, we will take you back and forth to Paycom Center in Oklahoma City and hear from Tyrese Halliburton, hear from other players in the Pacers, and certainly we'll want to get the reaction from the Thunder as they prepare to bounce back from that ridiculous Game 1 win by the Pacers and Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, it was a big-time game. Very exciting. Haymakers being thrown by both clubs. It seemed like, once again, the Pacers were down and out. But the thing you have to give this Pacers team credit for is that next play mentality that they have. There's been so many times where you look at this team and you think, oh, man, this is their time to lose, or they can't come back from this one. And they just never get deterred. If you hit a couple of big threes, there's only a couple minutes left, they just keep playing their style of basketball. They take the ball out right through the net. They keep going. They're playing at a high level. So their next play mentality, the way Rick Carlisle has them prepared, is probably why they're up 1-0 right now. In addition to hearing from the players and coaches at the podium, we'll hear from Stephanie Reddy, who will be in the stands talking with a couple of different players throughout the afternoon and evening. But first, let's go back out live to Paycom Center, where Sean Powell from NBA.com is joining us to talk about what has happened and what we expect to happen in Sunday's Game 2. Sean, it's been 48 hours nearly since that ridiculous shot from Tyrese Halliburton. Have people in OKC been able to digest what exactly went down in Game 1 just yet?
Well, if you talk to people around here, you know, this is a state that has to endure hurricanes and storms. So if they can survive that, they can survive a Game 1. And the other thing with Oklahoma City is, you look at this team, they won 68 games all year. They had the MVP. They had this great, point differential, record point differential in the league. And then they just sweep Memphis in the first round. So the one thing you worried about this team is, if adversity ever hit, how would they handle it? Because they have no experience in handling adversity this season. And I think that series with Denver sort of prepared them for losing Game 1. Because if you go back to that series with Denver, they lost the first game, they bounced back strong. They were down 2-1, they bounced back strong. They had a Game 7, and in that Game 7, if you recall, Nikola Jokic played well at the start, Aaron Gordon was courageous at the start. They sort of stunned Oklahoma City in that Game 7, but Oklahoma City closed strong. So I think they'll take those lessons learned from that Denver series. And also, they lost a game to Minnesota in the conference finals, got wiped out in the game. They came back strong from that. I think they'll take those lessons learned from those situations. And I think, at least mentally anyway, they're going to bounce back in Game 2. Now, whether the performance is up to snuff, that's the real question.
Yeah, let's just follow up on that with Oklahoma City. As you've mentioned, there hasn't been that much adversity, but they have found ways, whether it was against Denver or against Minnesota, to bounce back. But specifically, I think people are looking to the MVP. With those great rewards come expectations for you, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, to respond. What is your expectation of what we'll see from him Sunday night?
I think he'll play well. I think Shai has like a lot of MVPs, I think he has an enormous amount of pride. And I think he saw how Andrew Nembhard had shook him a little bit on that step-back three-point shot, and also how Shai missed that step-back shot himself that would have given Oklahoma City a lead, that maybe they would have won the game. And by the way, about that shot that Shai missed, I mean, how many times does that happen? I mean, this is the MVP. He makes a living off that mid-range step-back 15-foot, 18-foot jumper. So I think he feels that, you know what, I played a good game. I didn't play a perfect game. I didn't play a game up to my standards. At least I didn't finish that way. And I think if you go back and look at that game, Shai was really tremendous in that game. But those critical moments in the fourth quarter, defensively, when he couldn't start Nembhard, and also when he missed that shot, he says, you know what, against this Indiana team, an Indiana team that's very tough and it closes strong, I may have to be perfect.
We will hear from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the podium in just a few moments when he takes a seat and speaks to the international throng of media that has ascended upon Oklahoma City. You mentioned Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's countryman, Andrew Nembhard, while Tyrese Halliburton, rightfully so, got all the headlines for his antics ending that game with that dramatic shot. It is the play of Andrew Nembhard on both sides of the basketball that really deserves a lot of credit for helping Tyrese Halliburton get in position to make that shot, Sean.
Yeah, if you're Andrew Nembhard, you're like, hey, man, I had to guard Jalen Brunson the previous round, and now I've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP. So he's got his work cut out for him. But if you look at their history together, they both grew up in the Toronto area in Canada. Andrew Nembhard and Shai. Andrew Nembhard's known Shai and defended Shai longer than anybody in the NBA. Because those guys used to square off in high school. And then, their careers took different turns. Obviously, Shai went to Kentucky, went to the NBA. Andrew Nembhard had to spend 4 years in college. And by the way, last couple years, he was Chet Holmgren's teammate at Gonzaga. So he's got a connection against Chet. He's got a deeper connection against Shai. But I think Andrew Nembhard is really growing up in these playoffs. Again, he's had to guard the top two offensive point guards in the NBA in terms of scoring. So you don't have any choice. You have to grow up if you're playing Jalen Brunson. And I think that was great prep for now against Shai. Even on the biggest stage with the lights and all that, Andrew Nembhard is not scared. And I think he showed that in the fourth quarter, offensively and defensively, against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
No question. Sean Powell to the people. Great job, as always. We'll hear from you a little later on, as well as Stephanie Reddy inside of Paycom Center. Thanks to Sean, as we are back in Studio V here in Atlanta with Brendan Haywood. Let's get your reaction by looking ahead to what you think the biggest keys are for both Oklahoma City and Indiana as we go into Sunday's game 2.
Well, both teams have things that I think they can do a lot differently, and they can do well that will help either squad win the game. Starting off, we're going to look at what it is for OKC. Got to clean the glass. The rebound advantage was 56-39 in favor of the Pacers. Got to do your work. Jalen Williams, he has to step up. Only 6 of 19. Hey, Batman definitely needs a Robin, and Robin was missing in game 1. And I would attack Miles Turner in the pick and roll. SGA was getting whatever he wanted to when they went into a drop coverage or they switched Miles Turner on him. If I'm Mark Daigneault, I'm going at that matchup early and often. On the flip side, we know what it is for the Pacers. They had 20-plus turnovers in the first half alone. Very rarely do you win games like that. Got to protect the ball, cut down on those turnovers. And then secondly, you want to get out in transition. We understand this OKC defense is elite in the half court. You want as many easy buckets as possible. Want to get those transition numbers up, maybe somewhere around 17, 18 points per game. As we saw, they only had 11 in the first game. So those would be the keys for me right now, looking at both of these ball clubs.
You're looking, if you're the Pacers, at this is glass half full or glass half empty with the way they played in that first half versus the way they played the last 12 minutes of the game?
I think both teams, depending on what locker room you're in, you're going to be looking at it as half full. Both teams are going to be looking at it the same way. So the Pacers are going to say, hey, guys, we stole game 1. Our best player didn't play that well. He hit the shot, but he only had 14 points. We had, I think, 25 total turnovers 24 turnovers as a team. You rarely win those games, and we were able to get game 1. If you're Rick Carlisle, you're telling your guys, if we clean these turnovers up, get a little bit better play out of Halliburton, we have a chance to go home up 2-0. So that is exactly the way the Pacers are looking at it. But on the flip side, there's a lot of things that OKC is saying, hey, we dominated this game. We led from start to almost finished.
Right.
From the beginning all the way to point 3, we led this game. Defensively, we caused problems. SGA was able to score 38 points. We did a lot of really, really good things. We just got to clean up some small things as far as defensive rebounding and making sure that we understand where we need to be as far as cleaning up some of those three-point looks. Because you look at the Pacers bench, they went 7 of 10 from their core guys off the bench from the three-point line between Toppin, Bryant, and what's the guard's name?
And Nembhard.
No, off the bench, man. Off the bench. Help your boy out.
TJ McConnell.
TJ McConnell. There you go.
Yeah, I got you. Coming up in the second half of the show, we will hear from your former head coach, Rick Carlisle. Two of you linked up and won a championship in Dallas. We'll talk about that connection. We'll also hear from Tyrese Halliburton. But this first portion of the program is all about the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are on the court practicing at Paycom Center. And right now, inside the bowels of the arena, Mark Daigneault is the head coach of the Thunder, and he's at the podium.
I think maybe the next game is not going to be the blowout that it was against Denver. How to control the anxiety of your team if the situation is close in the game 2.
We have confidence and wisdom because of the situations we've been in over time. There's no team I'm more confident in being ready to play really in any situation than ours. I'm biased, obviously, but you also have to go make it happen. Those experiences don't guarantee you anything. They certainly don't carry over into the next experience. And so we've got the wisdom from them. We get the confidence from them. But when the ball goes up in the air tomorrow, the better team's going to win. And we want to do everything we can to be that team.
Jeff, fourth row on your right.
Jeff Zilgett, USA Today. Mark, you just saying make it happen. With the benefit now of having some time to watch the game, what didn't happen for you guys that, you take away from that game and will apply to game 2?
It's always tricky, because 1-point losses are emotional, and you got to be able to strip away the emotion from that. Understand there was a lot of things we did well in the game to build a 15-point lead. There's a lot of things we did well in the game that we certainly don't want to throw out. And there's a lot of things that we can improve on. We have a lot of runway here to improve. And Indiana does too. I'm sure they don't come out of that game feeling like they played perfectly either. And so that becomes the challenge after a game 1 of a series is you've now felt the opponent a little bit. You've thrown some things out there, learned some things from the game. And now we just got to improve at some tangible things that we think we can improve at. Indiana's going to try to do the same thing, and then the better team will win.
Next seat over, Tim.
Mark, you guys have been obviously very good after wins this season too, but after losses, it just seems like it goes up a notch. What, if anything, changes about this group when it is coming off a loss?
I think nothing. I think that's the trick is you don't want to be reactive to the last game because then you can be too high after wins. You can be too low after losses. We just get ourselves to neutral, understand every game's different. Every game is unwritten, and you go out there, the ball goes up in the air, and the team that competes better on that night wins. That's been kind of a mental habit for us over time, and we try to carry that over to every situation, and it's obviously very important in this situation. So, but I couldn't explain it beyond that. They just do a great job of getting themselves to zero and getting ready to compete in the next moment.
Jenny, over here.
Hey, Mark, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoma. And you said on Thursday you wanted to go back and watch the defense in the second half. I'm curious what you saw. You mentioned at one point that disruption was the goal. Were you guys disruptive enough defensively in the second half?
Not as disruptive as we were in the first half, but that was obviously probably an outlier as well. There's certainly things we could have done better in the second half. I thought we got a little loose on different things, but I'm also careful in these settings, especially not to take away from what Indiana did. I mean, there's 2 teams out there playing, and they did a really good job in the second half of that game, certainly in the back half of the fourth quarter, to put themselves in position to get a win the way they did. And so they deserve credit for that. But certainly, when the door shuts and we're watching film, we're looking at it through our lens, through the things we can control. We thought we left some stuff on the table in that game. Like I said, I'm sure they feel that way too. But now we have to start the process of improving and growing in the series.
What will be the response from the most valuable player of the 2025 NBA season? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at the mic next. Well, the MVP certainly has gotten better as the stage and the lights have gotten bigger and brighter. Look at what he has done, including a 38-point performance in the Game 1 heartbreaking loss. But what I think is also significant about SGA is that after the first 4 losses so far this postseason, he's averaging 33.5 points, shooting 54% from the field. And most importantly, the Thunder are 4-0. Let's go out to Paycom Center and hear from SGA at the podium.
First question on the second row.
Scott Kempsel with The Score. Hey, Shai. Before Game 1, you talked about, playing with the other Canadian guys and how you've been doing that over the years. What was it like to share the floor with Andrew in Game 1?
Yeah, it was fun. The stage, the moment, what's at stake. It's all things you dream about as a kid, and it was everything I imagined it to be.
So just a follow-up on that a little bit. You guys kind of exchanged a little shove back and forth, I think, in the fourth quarter, third quarter. I mean, you're both very chill guys. What was going on in that moment, and what does it say about what's at stake here?
Yeah, nothing more than two guys wanting to win. No malicious intent behind it, just wanting to win.
Do people kind of underestimate maybe the competitive fire that Andrew has, just given his demeanor and how he carries himself?
Yeah, he's a competitor. He's a winner. He plays the game the right way on both ends of the floor. Really good player. But yeah, he's a winner for sure. No doubt.
Tim, fourth row on your right.
Shai, Tim Reynolds with the AP. Mark just said that after a loss, nothing really changes with you guys. And I'm not asking you to contradict him, but it does seem like in those times when you guys are coming off one, there is a little bit more fire there the next time out for whatever reason. Does anything change coming off a loss, or whether it's a win or a loss, do you guys find a way to just kind of go into every game the same way, or is there something extra?
Yeah, it does feel like that. Now we like day-to-day interactions, like our moods. I think he's talking more so like those don't really change. We the losses are a little bit louder, obviously, like they hurt more, and you try to you try to get better through them, and it's a lot easier to learn from a loss than it is from a win, just off of like the emotional aspect of it. And I think that's probably why it looks the way it does. But yeah, nothing like coach is right. Like nothing really changes. The losses hurt a little bit more, I would say.
Second row here on the right.
Hey, Shai, Drafteados from Spain. The other day we saw a video comparing your moves with Kobe Bryant moves, and they were pretty similar. I mean, the pump fakes, the mid-range shots, they were very similar. I wonder how much you studied Kobe's games to become the MVP that you are right now, and if you have the chance to meet him and maybe get some advice from him.
Yeah, he's probably my favorite player of all time. Never got the chance to meet him, to answer your question. But yeah, he, not only me, like kids all across the world, his influence has gone through the roof, and his legacy will be remembered forever because of the competitor and the basketball player that he was. Yeah, hopefully I'm somewhere close to that realm of basketball player one day. But yeah, he was a special talent, special person, and God rest his soul.
Here on the left, second row.
Hi, Mahakis Jr., NBA correspondent. My question to you is, going into Game 1, I felt as if you were ultra aggressive. And going into Game 2, I want to know how you balance being aggressive while also obviously trying to get your teammates involved, obviously being the focal point of the offense. So how do you have that balance? And does it change game by game?
I always try to be aggressive, and I never like predetermine it. I always like just let the game tell me what to do. So I guess last game I felt more often than not I had a shot or a play that I could attack on more than in the past, and that's just the way it went. So like the same thing will happen in Game 2. I'll read the defense and I'll play off my feel and my instincts, and if it's calling for me to shoot or if it's calling for me to pass is what I'll decide to do.
Marcus, back right.
I'm curious, Shai, do you, after you miss a shot that you know you make and you've made a million times, is it easy to put those away, or do they stick with you? And did this one maybe stick more because it was Drew?
They're easy to put away now. There was a time in my career where it wasn't, and you have to grow and learn through that. But yeah, I mean, like, I've just grown to learn, like, you control what you can control. Like, I shot the ball, I missed it. It's written in history. There's nothing I can do now. That is a missed shot. And all I can do is try to be better than the next shot. And that's what I focused on. That's my mindset. And at this point, it's like second nature. Like, I shot the ball. I try to make it. Every shot I shoot, I try to make. And sometimes it just doesn't go in.
On your right, Mark Spears.
Shai, Mark Spears, ESPN's Angscape. Kind of on the same wave. At what point do you let it go? Was it that? Have you let it go to game one? And then also as a leader of this team, do you come in the next day trying to get everybody else right mentally?
Yeah. I let it go. You talking about the whole game? Yeah, I let the game go as soon as I learn the lessons from it. As soon as I watch film, take what I need to take from it, and we do it as a group. After that, I let it go because the lessons are learned. There's nothing else you can do. And then honestly, the team has the same demeanor. So there's no, this team makes it easy. You don't have to rile guys up or lock guys in. We all have the same goal in mind, and we all know what it takes to win games. And we just, that's what's on the focus of our mind. And that's what we are focused on the next day. Being better and trying to win the next one.
Thank you, Shai. Jalen will be up next.
Come back on NBA Finals media availability presented by YouTube TV. Jalen Williams looking for a bounce-back performance. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the only member of the Thunder to score more than 20 points in Game 1's heartbreaking loss. You can get ready for Game 2 with more pregame coverage live from Paycom Center on the court with the fellas and Stephanie starting at 6 o'clock Eastern Sunday. And remember, right after the game, Shaq, Kenny, Isaiah, Chris, and Stephanie will be live on the court for post-game coverage. Back out to Paycom Center, Jalen Williams, a tough Game 1. Let's see how he'll respond.
What you can take in a game too, for instance, shot selection, things of that nature, just defensively. They went on a 12-2 run. Anything you take away from that game that you wish you would have done? Is it just they made shots, they made plays?
Probably a little bit of they made shots and made plays to a certain extent. You never want to overlook the fact that a team made shots, and you try and look back at the film and see why they did that, what kind of defensive breakdowns we had to allow them to get the looks that they got. And then I think looking back at our offensive process, I thought we were pretty good throughout the whole entire game. So trying to find the balance of improving on offense and also finding just little small things that beat you late game. You know what I mean? It's not, these games really come down to one or two possessions. So it's the more we can find throughout the game, little things to lock in on and tighten up, the better we'll be.
Joe, second row on the right.
Joe Varden, The Athletic. A couple minutes ago, Mark was up there talking about you and Chet being third-year players, and third-year players aren't typically counted on at a moment like this in the finals. Do you feel that, I guess, that sort of responsibility, and how have you managed it, knowing that you are just in your third year, and typically like what Mark said, this isn't something that that someone like you or Chet would find yourself in so early in your career?
Just try and think of myself as somebody that's very uncommon. I don't ever think that I'm in my third year, because then that allows me to make excuses. So I usually just go out there and play. Pressure is a privilege, so I enjoy being counted on and doing that. And I just think I've been counted on since, I feel last year, to be totally honest, just in regards to being there for two and the rest of the guys. And now we're here in the finals, so I don't really see it that much different. But I never really look and I'm it's only my third year. I just think the only time I really think about that is just there's so much more I can do and how much stuff I can get better at. But I never really try and use it as this is my third year and try and use it as an excuse. You know what I mean?
Next row back, Dan.
Dan Devine, Yahoo Sports. Along those lines, it was one of Shai's highest usage games of the season, highest shot totals of the season. We saw a lot of that in the Minnesota series as well. And I think a lot of that is they're loading up so much to him. when you know that that's there and you're the release valve for a lot of that, like, does that impact at all the way you think about those possessions? Does the ball feel a little bit heavier? Do you feel like you have to press more when you know that you're sort of the release valve option there? Does that impact the way that you think?
Not really. It's not really like any different of a position that I've been in since I've been here. But no, the ball only feels pretty heavy when you get like a grenade or something from anybody. And I feel like I've thrown my teammates plenty of those in the years that I've been here. So, but a lot of it is just like more staying ready to be the release valve or like be ready to make a play. And that's kind of the mindset that everybody on the team carries out. And that doesn't always mean that I have to like go jack up a shot, but just trying to create for others or even like get the possession moving in a different direction. Like there's a lot of things that I can do on the court offensively that don't involve like obviously scoring for that possession, but I try and think of it that way and just trying to make the right play.
Second row over here.
Hey, Jalen, draftados from Spain. We just asked Shai about a video that we saw of Kobe and him, like, plays were very similar. The pump fakes, the stopping, the mid-range, the turnaround jumpers. I was wondering if you have seen that and what you think about that. And also, now that we're one game in the series, you guys have talked a lot about winning the days in between. I was wondering if you could take us through what that means and if you feel like you've won the day in between.
Yeah. First, your Shai question. Yeah, there are a lot of similarities there. I feel like if you are really paying attention to basketball and watch the way he plays, it's a lot of similarities. It's cool that he can pick certain aspects of his game to like kind of mimic that a little bit and then add his own like touch to it. So that kind of shows the kind of player that he is, to be able to steal bits and pieces from his from his favorite players and be able to like put it into a game and work on it. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into him being able to do that. And then, winning the days in between. I mean, you never really know if you won them until you play your next game, but all you can do is try and have the same routine that you've had throughout the season, throughout the playoffs, and try and mimic that as close as possible, eliminate distractions, not focus on what the series is at, focus on how you can get better. Like I said earlier for the first question, like you try and figure out small things to get better at during like the playoff run, during the finals. And basically whatever team can like figure out how to get better each and every game, each and every series usually ends up winning. So that's what we try and do. And that's what we focus on.
The Thunder made a change to their starting lineup in Game 1. Isaiah Hartenstein to the bench. Coming up next, he's in our starting lineup. Pretty crazy to think that the Thunder lost, despite the fact they took 16 more shots in Game 1 than Indiana. And they forced 25 turnovers. However, the group of guys had just a season-low 13 assists and held to 40% from the field. They made a big shift in Game 1, sending Isaiah Hartenstein to the bench. Here he is with Stephanie Reddy.
Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Let's go back to Game 1 first. I know that you guys have watched film, obviously. So what did you see in the film? What are you learning?
I think there was some little stuff that we could have done better. I think throughout the game, we had control over the game, but even in those aspects, there was stuff where we could execute better on defensively. And, I think the Pacers has been doing a good job all year, just sticking with the game, having a lot of comeback wins at the end of the game. So we have to be able to play 48 minutes. And,
When you go to reset after a loss, especially this season, you guys haven't had very many of them. What's your process like, just you individually? How do you get ready for Game 2?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of getting the feelings out of it, just going with the facts. I mean, I think there was a lot of stuff we did good, a lot of stuff we could have done better. But, again, I think especially in the playoffs, you try to get away from the feelings, get away from the ups and downs. I mean, Mark calls it the machine, so get away from, like, looking too much in the media, because I think when you lose a game, you're the worst team of all time. When you win a game, they call you the next dynasty. So I think we just try to stay focused on what we can control and go from there.
That's great. I love Mark. So let's tap into that feelings portion, right? It's the NBA Finals. Like, this is what every kid dreams of that's a basketball player. So at what point did this become real to you?
I don't know. I think it still hasn't sunk in yet. I mean, I think, yeah, you're in a high-stakes game. I think, yeah, we know there's a lot at stake, but I don't know. I think when the game starts, we've been doing a good job all season where it just becomes basketball again. You get back in the present moment. You get back to just playing the game you love, and, yeah.
Okay, so how do you see your role? It's been established at this point, right? And I'm sure it changes game to game. So now that you have one game in the finals under your belt, what is your role heading into game 2?
Again, I think we have a unique team, whereas I think we have, to me, 7 starters on our team. So there's going to be games where your role changes, and I think my role throughout the series going to change. I mean, the main thing is just physicality, coming in, bringing physicality, bringing my IQ to the game, offensively and defensively, and then just kind of going from there.
What's the process like for you guys? Because, as you mentioned, if there's 7 starters, obviously 2 can't actually start, right? So as things change, as matchups evolve, what is it like when you're on the bench? What are your contributions like to help your teammates? How do you do it?
I think it's communication. I think we're a special team where there's no egos involved. So I think when you go to the bench, you're not taking it personally. You're not seeing it that way. You're ready to make the sacrifice to help the team win. And again, you're in the final, so it doesn't really, your ego shouldn't be involved at all. I mean, I think it should be what can the team do to win. And Mark's a great coach, and you just trust that.
Okay, so what do you have to do to win?
Put the ball in the basket, so more than the other team, and then go from there.
So coy. I love it so much. All right, before I let you go, the relationship between this city and this team, it's different. I mean, if anybody was in this building after game 1, it was like there was a loss suffered by everyone. What does that feel like?
I mean, the community is big for us. I think we're so embedded in the city. I think we're really a part of the city, and you see it every game we play. I mean, you see everyone with the white shirts on. You go, no person's too good for the white shirt. I mean, you'll see a 80-year-old with a white shirt clapping and stuff, getting all riled up, and then you'll see like a little kid doing the same thing. So I think they help us a lot. I mean, we take a lot of pride in the community. I think we do a lot of stuff in the community just to make sure that we show our love back to the city, and we also play for them. I think every time we suit up, we put the jersey on. We just don't play for what's on the back of our shirts. We play what's on the front. And so, yeah.
Love that. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All
right, Stephanie, thank you so much. We'll hear from Stephanie with Obi Toppin here in a couple of moments. You know, it's not unusual for the Thunder to change their starting lineup throughout the regular season. While that was the first time in game 1 they've seen them make an adjustment in the postseason, they did roll with 30 different lineups throughout the course of the regular season, with guys like Aaron Wiggins and Cason Wallace getting the start for either Hartenstein or Chet or different things. But I think it's interesting what we've seen against the Pacers' opponents this year in the postseason, right? Cleveland was forced to abandon their double big lineup in the second round series. In the Eastern Conference Finals, the Knicks at times had to go with a single big. And then we saw that lineup adjustment not only to start the game by Mark Daigneault, but the last 3.5 minutes of the fourth quarter, he went with no bigs when Indiana made that comeback. So my question to you is, you live in the house of Haywood. Mm-hmm. Can bigs survive in this series, whether it be Chet Holmgren or Isaiah Hartenstein or both against the Pacers?
Bigs can definitely survive, but they have to play well. That's the thing. I don't think Mark Daigneault would have went small down the stretch had Chet been playing well. But if you look at what was going on in this game, right from the jump, seemed like something was off with him. Maybe the moment was a little bit too much. Maybe Chet was a little nervous. But Hartenstein was their best big. Look at that. He had 9 rebounds in 17 minutes. He gave them a lot of oomph and energy inside, made the hustle plays, got a couple of offensive rebounds as well. They played this big lineup for every game of the playoffs except for game 1 of the finals. So it's something that they know they can go to. Their bigs are very versatile. Both of these guys give you something on the defensive end, can rebound, can guard their yard. So I like them with the double big lineup or a single big, but your bigs have to play well. In game 1, Hartenstein played well. Chet, he was missing in action. Look for him to bounce back in game 2. And if Chet's playing well, to your point, Jared, that gives them something different. And what makes them truly unique is they can play their bigs on smalls and don't have to worry about helping. Chet can switch over on a point guard. You don't have to worry about sending a double or tilting the whole court. And then at the same time, he's going to give you that rim protection. If Chet is playing at the level that we expect him to play at, where he's shooting a good percentage from the field, where they don't feel like he's an offensive liability, then there's no reason why he can't finish out the game. And I think that would also give a team like OKC a little bit more of an advantage, because they did lose the rebounding battle when they went small. I think it was 56-39 in favor of the Pacers. They need those bigs out there to clean up the glass.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, they haven't been a good rebounding team this postseason, which you'd think with 2 7-footers on the floor they would be.
Yeah, well, guess what? If you're not rebounding well with 2 7-footers on the floor, guess what happens when you take both of them off the floor?
Right.
You're going to be a worse version of that.
Yeah.
And so it really comes down to Chet playing well, establishing himself. Maybe OKC runs some action to get a look early on, just get his confidence going. This game is so much about confidence. And right from the jump, Chet missed a couple of shots, started pressing, and he just never really got into a rhythm. And eventually Mark Daigneault went into a different direction.
I go to that one play late in the second half where he had an opportunity to dunk the ball, and he just tried to lay it up and couldn't get it to go. Yeah, you can frame it. It's an iconic picture that will live forever in NBA history. Pacers about to take the floor in OKC. All right, so we've concluded our media availability session. Brendan Haywood, what did you learn today hearing from the Pacers and Thunder that will impact how Game 2 transpires?
Well, listening to Shai and listening to Mark Daigneault, I understand that the Thunder don't get too high and don't get too low. So I think they're going to come into this game. They're not going to let what happened at the end of Game 1 linger into Game 2. They understand it's a different ball game. They understand what they did well to put them in position to win, and they're going to try to execute on that even more. I like the mental mindset of this team. This is a very young team, but they have a lot of veteran presence to them. They have like a veteran soul.
For as good as the Pacers were over the last few minutes of the game, they were not good over the majority of the game. Can they play better than they did, and how can they do that?
Well, yes, the Pacers can definitely play better. Number one is they have to stop turning the ball over. It was evident from the jump that OKC's defense, their length, their active hands was giving the Pacers problems. The plus 20 turnovers in the first half was an absolute problem. You can't have it. Very, very rarely do you win a game when you turn the ball over that much, period, for a full game, much less a half. So if you're the Pacers, it comes down to taking care of the ball. When we take care of the ball, we have to push the pace, no pun intended, because they're one of the better fast break teams that we have in this league. They don't want to play against OKC's half-court defense.
It's actually interesting to me that people talk so much and focused on the pace of the Pacers. The Thunder, both in the regular season and the playoffs, actually play at a faster pace than the Indiana Pacers. We'll see how that plays out throughout the course of the series. We know that both teams are going to make adjustments. Rick Carlisle, even after a win, is going to do something, layering, as you've talked about. Time now for a flashback.
All right, what we got?
Let's go back to the year 2000.
Oh,
June 6th. Remember this from Allen Iverson making his NBA Finals debut?
Ooh. Don't show my man T. Lue. T. Lue's my guy. I played with T. Don't show T. Lue.
Well, unfortunately, T. Lue, he's going to be caught. You got to look down on the ground for this one. Yep, there he is. There's 10. Stepping right over. AI. And today is the 50th birthday of Allen Iverson. You believe that? AI's 50.
Yeah, he is, man. Happy birthday, Bubba Chuck. A true legend. He lives in Charlotte, too, man, if you ain't know. Yeah.
How do you think the Hall of Famer is celebrating his birthday?
No telling, man. Probably with a lot of family members hanging out, maybe a little barbecue or something in the backyard.
Are you invited to the barbecue?
Probably not.
Am I invited to the barbecue?
Definitely not. You're never invited to the barbecue.
Come on.
You put raisins in the potato salad.
No way.
You definitely do. You look like that type of guy.
Do you put mustard in the potato salad?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, you got to.
Do you have to?
Yeah, it adds something nice to it. Who wins Game 2?
Game 2, I think OKC bounces back similar to the way they bounced back after a tough defeat in the series against Denver.
Well, great work by Stephanie Reddy and Sean Powell out at Paycom Center. Remember, 6 o'clock Eastern Sunday, our pregame coverage gets underway.
Great working with you, man. Thank you so much.
B. Wood, yeah. Thank you so much. I'm Jared Greenberg. This has been an Arthur Hamilton production.